Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you've watched my videos, then you probably know me from my pause games or maybe my edits. But today, we're doing something a little different, my first video essay. Okay, so first, this voice isn't mine, it's CapCut AI. Second, I would really appreciate if you could check my description box to check for my blog that will be related to this channel. It might not be there for a couple of days because I'm still working on it, so just give me a bit sorry. Alright, let's get into the video. Why One Direction was bound to fall apart. Now you're probably thinking, aren't you a 1D fan? Wouldn't you want to believe they would stay together forever, which is both true. And I would love to see a reunion when the time is right. And to be honest, the time isn't right just yet. Niall's on tour, Louis has festivals. Zayn just dropped an album, Liam's teasing new music, and Harry just performed with Stevie Nicks, so maybe a new album or maybe he's just enjoying his break after 2 whole years of touring. But let's not think about the now, and let's go back for 10 years to the X Factor stage. 5 teenage boys auditioning for a chance of stardom, fame, and a legacy. Unfortunately, after getting through the first round, all 5 boys couldn't get any further. But the judges had an incredible idea to put these boys in a band that Harry later named One Direction. But let's really think about it for a second. These boys were literally each other's competition not long ago, and now they have to literally band together and succeed together. So you start off by them being unlikely friends who now have to work as a team to try and find success. Now, during the show it seemed easy. They were instant friends who just hung out for hours and instantly clicked and began singing together. Later, Liam revealed they had a lot of verbal and even came close to physical fights on the Logan Paul podcast, and they disagreed often and just didn't click until later on. But these boys wanted to succeed, so they stayed together, which clearly ended up working out in their favor. So they become friends, get 3rd place on X Factor after gaining mass amounts of fans while still on the show, and Simon Cowell makes a deal with them, and he becomes their manager. They move quick to capitalize on this fame and release their first single in 2011, What Makes You Beautiful, and it's a massive success that debuted at #1 on the official singles charts. But later revealed in Louis' documentary, All of Those Voices, he was upset to find he couldn't hear his vocals on the song, and it consisted primarily of Harry's. Now, it wasn't explicitly said that this caused a disconnect in the band, but as a young person who's just trying to succeed, it must hurt to see or past competition beating you in something you thought you were doing together. If that makes any sense, especially since Louis worked extra hard with the producer in the next single, Gotta Be You, just for the same thing to happen. Now, at this point, it's clearly not any of the boys' fault, but it seems like their team is pushing for those one-word personalities. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, One Direction became known as a brand and not a band. Their team forced a personality on them. Harry was the flirt, Niall was the funny one, Louis was the boy next door, Zayn was the mysterious one, and Liam was the parent-responsible one. And well, the band had a primarily female fan base who often had a crush on the boys. And if one of the boys loved flirting with many girls, then fans had a chance. And since Harry was the flirt, it was important to make him the front man of songs. So Louis and Niall in general were cut out from vocals, so Harry could shine. Imagine getting cut out because your team wants to push one of the other members' personalities, even though that was a fake persona. So yeah, I'm not surprised when the boys started getting fed up with the personas become their brand. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Once the boys started releasing albums and touring, there was no telling when it would stop. An album and a tour a year for 5 years straight. Maybe that works for a while, but eventually people get burnt out and just can't do it or produce quality music. And in my opinion, the overworking, which came with the bad management, was one of the 2 reasons they were bound to fall apart. In One Direction's documentary, we see a very small bit of the overworking the boys had to experience when Zayn went to bed for 10 minutes from the Take Me Home tour just to be waken up to sing vocals for the album Midnight Memories. Now, I understand singers are often tired and overworked because it's what's necessary to complete everything according to timelines and such, but that doesn't make it right or okay. Especially when it's like that for basically 5 years, without a break longer than 3 months. So Midnight Memories was being recorded during the Take Me Home tour, and once it was released they did an 8-hour-long stream for it. This album had another tour called Where We Are, a tour movie titled One Direction, Where We Are the concert film, and an autobiography called Who We Are. Which in press for this book Louis wrote Who We Aren't, which is a clear sign the band wasn't gonna work out forever. And, of course, while that album was blowing up the charts and breaking records, they were already ready to record their 4th album, titled 4. 'Cause as Niall said, it's their 4th album. This was also their final album as a 5-piece, ironically enough. This is the time where you could really tell Zayn was done with the band. He had bad anxiety and was going through an eating disorder, while also being in a band that refused to hear his ideas. Their team didn't like Zayn's R&B songs he wrote, and cut them all out for the pop songs they were known for. In my opinion, this was the second big reason the band was bound to fall apart. They had different music styles, and as they grew up didn't want the same things. Like Zayn just wanted to be a normal 22-year-old without the pressure of making music he didn't want to, while Harry supposedly was ready for the band to break up, while Louis was not ready for a break at all. And then March 25, 2015, the world shattered because on Facebook the band announced Zayn would be leaving the band and they would be continuing the band as a 4-piece. And when I say the world shattered, I mean the world shattered. Now I wasn't a fan then, but older fans all remember where they were and what they were doing the day Zayn left the band. He made headlines. And the other boys also left tweets with Harry saying all the love, as always, and Liam saying so glad to be in bed after a long and strange 24 hours. Zayn also later said he left due to stress, being sick of each other, and knowing the band was eventually going to fail and selfishly wanting to be the first one out. Said he called his mom to make sure she still had a bed for him, and of course, she said yes, and couldn't wait to get her son back, and his dad was worried his career would fail, but of course still accepted him home. Which to me speaks volumes about the behind the scenes. And now for the grand finale. When the band finally broke up after 5 years of being the biggest boy band in the world, after finishing the On the Road Again tour in support of their album For Without Zayn, they released their final album and first Without Zayn titled Made in the AM. The boys say it was named this because it was made really late at night, so it was the AM. While fans speculated it could mean After Moloch, this rumor was never confirmed. Anyways, this album was also a success, with hit singles Drag Me Down and Perfect, but despite the success from the album, the band did not announce tour. Instead, they announced an 18-month hiatus. The word hiatus was clearly chosen on purpose to not scare fans with the word break. This also when Louis wrote the famous Promise tweet, and One Direction finally broke up after years of overworking and slowly growing up and apart. In 2017, though, they won Video of the Year at the Brits, but only Liam attended to revive the award. Which to me shows how done the boys were with the band. Because you'd think they would come together for one day to get an award, but even this was too much for the boys. Since then, One Direction has been broken up for around 8 years, and although the boys still mention one another and sometimes interact, we shouldn't be expecting a reunion anytime soon despite rumours constantly circulating. Simon Cowell has also been on the hunt for a quote, new One Direction and quote, because he since regrets not controlling the boys more and owning the name. Niall and Louis have both unfollowed Simon after this was publicly said, which makes sense since Simon already put them through so much, and I doubt they're willing to sell the name to him so he can take advantage of their fame. Simon's also said he would have done work with just 2 or 3 members if they wanted to, which to me shows that the band was clearly marketed as more of a brand because their management believed they could keep going without them all. Which adds to how their team devalued certain members if they didn't add to the One Direction market. I don't know if we will ever see another One Direction, at least under Simon Cowell, but hopefully they are actually all striving towards the same goal and don't want different things from their career. So breaking up will be less likely. But then again, boy bands don't really work in the long term because of how teenage boys having fun together in a matching manufactured aesthetic, and it often relies on their youth to drive their market. Once the boys get older, it gets harder for them to keep up these manufactured aesthetics and might want to start a family, which is hard to do in a busy job like a boy band that consists of a lot of touring, promo, and untraditional hours. I went a little off topic there, but hopefully it made sense and added to what I'm trying to say. That being said, I'll still smile anytime one of the boys talk about a reunion or good times in the band. Thank you so much for watching and making it this far. Please let me know what you thought of this video, the pros and cons, because I had a lot of fun making this and would love to do more. And I only want it to get better with your suggestions. I love you guys. Bye.